guess this means we're getting ready to get started here. Let me see if I can take the screen back and share my screen with you guys. And we'll make sure everybody can see what I'm seeing. Everything good so far? Yep, I got a thumbs up from Michelle.
You're good.
All right, cool. All right, let me just check my window here. And let's see if I can find my chat window, just in case you guys are asking questions. No, I don't see it in this format. It's okay. You guys are welcome to unmute and anytime and interject. I believe if somebody wants to try and raise their hand, I can see. Oh, maybe it's because I'm not really in control. I'm just leading. That's why I don't know all that stuff. We got that going on in the background. So we'll have the questions jump in if you guys are using the chat. But honestly, if you just unmute yourself and talk, you can just cut me off as we're going through this stuff. Because here's the thing with this session of Ignite. I mean, this is 1 hour long. We want you to be able to plug in and understand that for you to get the most out of this course, this is normally a 4-hour course. We've got 1 hour to go over some basic material. I'm going to help relate it to the world that you're actually in, real estate, and how to make things work in real estate versus just reading the material. And you know, you guys tell me, have you been in classes before where it's great material, but a week later, 2 weeks later, even 6 months later, you realize you didn't really implement much of anything from it? Right? Yes, no, thumbs up. And have you ever pulled up class notes and stuff months later or a year later? I mean, I remember when I first started real estate, I had a stack of every conference I ever went to. Must have 25, 30, 50 things highlighted with extra stars around it because, oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Years of stuff in a drawer. And I opened up that drawer and thought, oh my gosh, I haven't implemented any of this stuff. And I literally took a top 3 form. Well, actually, I took and I'm going to send this to you guys too, and you can do it after every class and start organizing your notes and your thoughts of what hits, because there's a lot of material here. We're not going to master all this stuff the first time through Ignite. I hope this inspires you the way we're teaching this class. So you're going to probably take this class 10 times in a row. Like, let's just say from today until this time next year, you're going to take Ignite like 6 times or whatever, how many times we're going to teach it, that you just keep plugging into it and keep the material coming. Because I'm a repetitive guy. And I know that for me to become the listing agent that I did, and for those of you who don't know me, I mean, I'm an individual agent the last 2 years, but I've had my team as big as 9. I've expanded and contracted and followed the Keller Williams models, done the MREA stuff, which is why I think we can cover this material in an hour just by bringing you real life world real estate examples of you're going through this course, no matter where you are, whether you're a brand new agent or whether you're an experienced agent, just talking about things that I've figured out along the way why I went through this material. So I created, and somebody gave it to me. I think it was Howard Brinton, gave me this five-line list that after a conference, after a day of any kind of class at all, and usually this was at his 3-day conference, at the end of the day, you write down your 5 best ideas. So you're still going to probably have 10, 20, 30 things highlighted in your notes, and you take the best 5 and put those on your 5 list. And then tomorrow we're going to go, or not tomorrow, Friday, we'll go through Ignite again and you'll have your 5. And then Monday, you'll have your 5. Wednesday, you'll have your 5. And if you accumulate those at the end of Ignite, then you take your top 3 ideas that you haven't implemented yet while you were going through the course. Now, if you take those 5 ideas and you get 1 or 2 of those implemented, that's even better. So you're just moving along. And let me just tell you, implementation is the key. And one of the things that I'm going to do to help you get through this material, like we're not going to read all the material. And I guess I need to know if anybody has a problem with that. which I doubt. You guys want real world stuff while we're here together. And then, you know what? Take the next 30 minutes and just read through the manual, or read through the manual the day before Ignite. Get the material in your head. You won't necessarily understand everything if you're brand new. And if you're new to Keller Williams, you won't understand the lingo. But here's what I know. If you read it and then we talk about it and then you read it again, you have just advanced yourself well into another level of getting closer to implementation. And I think I might have mentioned this in the first call. What was I going to say? In the first call, about just repetition. It might have been a different thing I was talking to somebody else about, but what I figured out in the book, 133 through 148, we were talking about it in our session just on Monday. I was saying page 133 through 148, 15 pages in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. And if you don't have a copy of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book yet, all you have to do is go right up to the front desk, team leader, whoever, and just say, hey, I don't have a copy of that book. I need to get that book. Put a sticky note on page 133 and a sticky note on 148. And every time you make it from one sticky note to the next, put a tally on the sheet. Do it again, tally on the sheet. So read that multiple times. 12 times would be my challenge. And it's not even my challenge. I learned the 12 from Gary. He said, you need to take bold 12 times. He said, you need to read the book 12 times. Well, that was a pretty thick book. I knew I wasn't going to read the book 12 times, but I could read sections of the book 12 times. And with that being said, I also want to set the stage a little bit that as we go through Ignite this time, guys, I seriously, like, not even kidding, I will validate these numbers. Every single person going through Ignite right now can sell 100 homes in the next 12 months. I don't care what your price point is. I don't care what that is. You have 100 people you know who know you that are absolutely moving in the next 12 months. Doesn't matter where they are. It could be from New York to California. It could be from Dallas, Texas to Minnesota. There's referral fees on those. There are more than 100 people that know who you are and know you're in real estate that are moving. And why the heck are we missing them? Why isn't every agent doing 100? So that will actually be the layer through Ignite. And that's what I'm most excited about when I called Mary Beth and said, oh, I think I'm ready to take this crew to a whole new level and show that it doesn't matter what price point you're in. It doesn't matter anything. There's 100 sales. So my life mission is to see you all sell 100 properties. And if you sold 100 properties, what would life look like? All right. So that kind of brings us to our first thing. It's kind of like your big why. And this is something that we're going to talk about often. It doesn't get talked about enough, because I will tell you, as a MAPS coach and a professional business coach, and I'm not a MAPS coach now, so don't look for me on the roster there. But when I was a MAPS coach, the hardest thing about coaching is the beginning, is getting that plane off the ground. And if you plugged into any of Bold and Diana and Keller Williams stuff, you've probably heard it takes 60% of the energy to get a plane off the ground, and it barely takes any energy to keep it flying through the air. And so that's one piece that's hard as a real true coach, because you have to get the base stuff in place or you can't get the plane in the air. So a lot of times we have to talk about a few fluffy things, but because we're doing it in real world, like agent to agent conversation and just translating the material versus reading out of the book, I think it'll help you relate. So is there anybody, I mean, if we got some participation, anything, does anybody want to chime in on what their big why, what that means? What is your big why? And I mean, if you don't chime in, that's fine too. If you don't come in within a second or two, then I'll move on. But does anybody want to share with us what they think their big why, or not their big why, but what a big why is?
Well, basically your big why is, my name is Fatima. My big why is the reason why you wake up every morning, the reason why you work so hard. That's my big why.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Is it Fatima? Did I say it right?
Fatima. It's Fatima.
Fatima. All right. I won't remember that, but if I get it right, make sure you give me kudos for actually getting it right.
Yes.
Fatima. No, you are so right. So listen, guys, whenever we're talking about this stuff, there's a bigger purpose than just you sitting down figuring out your big why. And let me tell you something about your big why. This is one of the hardest things agents come up with. And it is exactly what Fatima said. What is it that's going to make you jump out of bed at 6 a.m. every single day going, it is time to do real estate. Let's go. I said 6 a.m. and it's time to do real estate. You might be working out. You might be reading, whatever it is that your energy plan from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. It's towards the back, the things that you do in the morning, your ritual, right? But what is it that would really make you jump out of bed? And when you get excited about your real estate business to the point where you've done that, you might figure out a stronger why. So if you haven't really got a clear picture of your why, and if you've written down your why in some other class, I'm going to challenge you to do this. Look at your why and read it. Whatever that is. If your big why is what gets me excited about real estate is the amount of money I can make in real estate, because it truly is unlimited, right? But then I want you to say why and what about that makes me want to do real estate, something along those lines, right? And you're going to ask that question about 6 or 7 times, as deep as you can go. And that's called peeling the onion back, right? So I like real estate because I can make some great money selling a house. Your commission checks are probably $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000, right? So if you make good money in real estate, what's that do for you? And so now you got to answer that question. So what would that do for you? And if somebody wants to participate and say what more money would do for you, chime in. And if I hear you coming, I'll stop talking. But if that is it, what does more money do for you? And I'm just giving you examples of what I've seen people go through and what I've worked through. Well, more money means I don't have to stress about paying my bills every month, right? Like wondering if there's going to be enough money every month. In this market, guys, if you don't have any listings, you're technically out of business, right? Every month I'm out of business. I got a great closing board right now. I think there's like 9 things on there closing this month, but I'm out of business. I've got 2 active listings and they're about to get contracts. And that means I'm out of business, right? So money gives me the secure, or just the not have to worry about how I'm going to pay my bills. So being able to pay your bills, what's that do for you? And see, this is the question I want you to ask at least 6, 7 layers deep, and then you'll get to the core of what your real true why is, because too many whys are too shallow. So what's that do? Well, I don't stress out. It means I'm happier because I'm not stressed out about stuff. I'm not yelling at people because I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills next month, right? So when you're not yelling at people, what's that do for you? Well, it allows me to actually pay attention to what's going on around me. If I wasn't worried about that and I wasn't yelling at people, then I would be happier and I'd actually be listening to them more and I'd hear what my kids are saying versus doing something else and they know you're not listening, right? So when people are listening to you and you're happy and you can pay attention to them, what's that do for you? So you guys get it? That's what the why is. Now, let me add one extra thing because I always want to give you a power thing behind this. When you master this why process and you bring this to your clients, anybody thinking of selling, anybody thinking of buying, and you can say, so what's important to you about buying this house, right? It kind of sounds like a bold script a little bit, doesn't it? It's interesting how everything intertwines and it all shows back up together because it's a system and a plan that all works together, right? So what about this house is going to be awesome for you? Oh man, just to have my own house and own it. Yeah, that's awesome. So when you have your own house and you own it, what's that do for you personally? So, oh man, it makes me feel good, blah, blah. And then, well, what's that do? It's then I appreciate it and I want to fix it up and make it look nice and make it mine. Great. So when you make it yours, what's that do for you? What's that do for you? What's that do for you? Right there, guys, I just gave you the most powerful tool to use in any listing appointment, buyer consultation, showing houses, because when you figure out what their why is, you bring it back. You guys are going to share your whys with me. I want to know what your whys are, because we're going to bring the personal touch level to this session of Ignite. And I need to know what your whys are, because exactly what I'm going to say now, once you figure that out of your clients, you keep bringing it up. Well, Brad, we don't want to go 40,000 over asking price. We don't want to pay too much for that house. It's like, no, I understand. I mean, I've got experience to make sure you don't pay too much for the house. But let me ask you something. If you don't get this house and you don't get to fix it up and you don't get to make it your own and you don't get to enjoy it and you don't get to watch your kids grow up and play in the backyard where you've put what you wanted in, I just keep going down their whys and hit that core why. You know, on this particular house, what is it worth to not have that on this one? It's like, well, we love this house, but we just don't want to pay too much. So what is that big why worth to you? Right. And at some point they may say, you know, it's not that worth that. Right. It's good stuff. And I'll pause before I go on next. If somebody just jump in quickly, unmute if you have any questions about that. Okay. So we go through some of this material pretty quick, and it's not just, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I don't really have any questions. I just, you know, I just wanted to let you know you're doing great, and I'm not really getting participation because I don't really know where to input myself yet, but I'm definitely taking a lot of notes down. Thank you.
Awesome. Great. And that's what I hope you guys will do. And like I said before, the way this session's going to run, we're going to all get to know each other. Like you guys, we're going to be friends at the end of this. Okay. So when that happens, I'll be following you through the class, and there's a way that we are going to do that. And I'm going to help you stay plugged into the material throughout Ignite. Like my goal, guys, I've taught this so many times. Classroom of 50 gets down to a classroom of 40 after 1 week, gets down to a classroom of 30, 2 weeks. By 3 weeks, there's like maybe 20 people left. And by the time the end of the course is around, there's like 8 people sitting in the room. The material and the content, if you can just give up this hour and hear it over and over and over again and follow us all year long through this, and we keep building the class up bigger and bigger and bigger, even if you've heard it before, you're going to hear it different every single time. Raise your hand, and because everybody's kind of looking at everybody, raise your hand if you heard something different about the why there, just a little different, or heard it slightly different, or something else, right? Great. So thank you very much for sharing that. Okay, so what successful agents do every day when you're growing your business, you're lead generating, you're doing seller presentations, buyer presentations, previewing real estate. So what we're talking about here is your dollar productive activities. And, you know, again, if I'm ever saying something and I'm assuming that you know what the term is because it's all in the MREA book and I've read it thousands of times, or not thousands of times, hundreds of times, probably sections of that over and over and over. Like if I say something like the 80-20 rule, and if you don't know what the 80-20 rule is, I mean, you can either type it in the chat and you guys can all see that, and somebody can also respond because you guys can all help each other. I know many of you know what the 80-20 rule is. So if you put in the chat, somebody says, what's 80-20? And somebody can just type that in real quick and explain it. But here's the thing. I have agents track this stuff all the time. What do successful agents do? They need to do dollar productive activities. And we're going to talk about the 7 levels that you build your business from, you being an individual agent, to level 2, where you bring in an assistant who then takes 80% of the stuff off your plate and you can focus on your 20%. But guys, let's talk about what that really means, because I've been coaching people, hundreds of top agents. When you get an assistant and you're supposed to give them the 80% stuff that generates 20% of your income, that's the busy work. What most agents do, if you really freed up 80% of your day, they're not replacing it with more 20% stuff. You know what they're replacing it with? The 80% stuff that they like to do, and they're going to give their assistant all the stuff they hate to do. How'd you like the interview for that job? Hey, I want to be an assistant of a top agent and do all the stuff you hate doing. Now, granted, you're going to find some people that might like doing that stuff. There are telephone, people that call on the telephone. I forgot what they're called. Telemarketers, right? Some of those guys love doing that. Some people did it for money and they quit within a week because it's horrible. And most real estate agents are not picking up the phone enough, right? So if you bring an assistant in on level 2 and you get rid of 80% stuff, it allows you to focus on dollar productive activities. That's it, guys. Those are your dollar productive activities. If you are sitting in a listing appointment, giving a buyer consultation, and writing contracts, I mean, those are dollar productive activities. So what I have people track, and on my calendar, I use color coding. I use 3 colors. Green on my calendar, on my Google Calendar, is something that's generating new dollars to my business, to my bottom line. Yellow is anything that I'm doing that somebody else really could do. If money were no object and I could hire you for $500,000 a year to do everything that I don't have to do, and it's not dollar productive activity. If I could do that, and I'm doing it right now, it's yellow. So that means mowing my yard could be yellow. Hey, I love mowing my yard. I love the way it looks when I'm done. I hate the way anybody else does it, but maybe I'm not paying them enough, right? I'm still paying $20 for somebody to mow my yard. It stinks. So I love mowing my yard, but it's yellow on my calendar because that is something that somebody else could do, right? And then the third color is orange. And orange is the stuff that you have to do. Like it is going to your kids' recital or going to a ball game. You know, the Kansas City Chiefs, woo, Super Bowl champs, you know those guys? If I have tickets to a playoff game, I don't hire my assistant to go in my place to the game and tell me how it went, right? Brad Korn is going to that football game. So that's orange because it's not dollar producing activity, but it's something that I have to do. So yellow is caution. Be careful. This is 80% stuff. Even if you're like, well, I just have to do it to make sure it's right. If it's something that is not bringing in new dollars, it's yellow. It's yellow. When I go to pick up a sign in a lockbox, right now I'm an individual agent and I'm running out to go do something and I'm going to pass right by our listing that just closed yesterday. I got to grab the sign in the lockbox. So it's on my calendar so I don't forget to do it. If it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist, right? And I'll forget it and then I'll lose another sign in a lockbox. But that is yellow on my calendar because somebody else could be doing that. Now, my yellow isn't very much on my calendar. There's not a whole lot of yellow that I could keep somebody busy for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. You guys following that? So when we talk about what successful agents do every day, we're talking about the green, okay? The green. Any questions on that? Okay, you guys like that stuff? Give me a thumbs up. Yeah. Okay. I have people track their calendar for 2 weeks. Get a week at a glance calendar from your title company and just everything. Set a timer on your watch and every 30 minutes when it beeps, just grab your calendar and write down what you're doing in that time slot. You know, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Just have your timer go off watch go off every 30 minutes or your phone beep you every 30 minutes. So just write down what you're doing. Do this crazy exercise for 2 weeks. And just track at first. At the end of the 2 weeks, you're going to open it all back up and start on the first day and start highlighting what's green and highlight what's yellow and highlight what's orange and look at what your day is doing and look at that you might not even be doing your 20% of the day. Now, let me give you one more thing on that because 20% is a pretty small part of your day. If you're working 8 hours, that's 2 hours, right? So are you doing 2 hours of new dollars coming into your business, like getting listing appointments set and all that? I mean, and again, calling to get an appointment, calling a bunch of strangers to get an appointment and try and get them to meet with you is also yellow because calling and just leaving a message or them not meeting with you is not bringing in new dollars. Calling and getting them to meet with you is green. A listing appointment is green because then you can get the listing and you'll naturally get 3 out of 4 anyway, even if you don't know what you're doing, because 3 out of 4 sellers list with the first person that shows up. 1 will interview somebody else, right? So yeah, go ahead.
So you're saying lead generating should be coded yellow and not green?
Lead generating, cold calling for 2 hours and not getting an appointment set, in my opinion, is 2 hours of yellow.
Really? Okay.
Well, Because if you think of it at a 7-level business, you've stepped out, right? And as you look at the new 7 levels, there's an ISA team.
Sure.
And an ISA team can call and set appointments, right?
Yeah.
So now we know that is something somebody else could do, because there's a ton of teams that have ISA teams.
Okay. That makes sense.
Now it's yellow. And it's just to be cautious of that, because that is not bringing in new dollars. You're working to get to the appointment. And so if I have 2 hours of yellow and I don't have 2 green spots after it, man, I got to figure out how to get those green back on my calendar if I'm going to invest in this yellow.
Okay.
Right?
That makes sense.
Here's something else I'll tell you. I'll give you one more perspective. Brad Korn selling 100 homes a year. I don't really need a buyer's agent yet. And I'll tell you why I don't need a buyer's agent yet. Because my calendar, Monday through Friday, from 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m. until 5 or 6 at night, is not all green. Listen, follow me through this. So I've got a listing appointment today, and I got to go show a house at 4:30, right? The rest of that is not green. And that showing a house is 1 hour green, and a listing appointment is 1 hour green, right? Tomorrow, I don't have any showings tomorrow, so there's no green on tomorrow. Why do I need a big team? Like, until I fill up where it's all green and all yellow, and now I'm starting to miss some green boxes, or I have to tell somebody I have to meet with you next week because my next 5 days are booked solid on my calendar, but you're looking at some yellows and you're looking at greens and you're looking at orange, right?
Right.
My general rule of thumb is if I lost more than 2 listing appointments because I had to push them out 3 days or 4 days, I actually sacrificed that to tell me it's time to get an assistant. So until my calendar was that full this week and that full next week and that full the week after, I really don't need to. I can keep that red light on bringing people in, because the 2 biggest expenses that any agent has is your office and salaries.
Right.
Yet, we work in a company where we talk about leverage and teams and all this stuff. And so everybody tries to grow their stuff before they really need them yet. And so that's where the systems come in. And when you get your systems down to where you've packed your calendar, for example, the first set of greens, well, the first level 2 is hire an assistant. So once those yellows are in there and you got a lot of greens and now you start missing some greens, that's when you bring on your assistant, and you've leveraged yourself to the point where you've got good money coming in. So you can actually cover the salary and not worry about it. That person takes those yellows off your plate and they become their greens. Now you just start filling in the white space with more greens. Now, more greens means like your showings might be 2-hour time blocks. If you're going out, driving out, getting through traffic, especially where you guys are showing 3 or 4 houses, it might be a 2-hour time block or a 3-hour time block. So once I've got all these green and I got these big blocks on there that are showing houses, and now I start missing some greens because they have to wait, because my day is booked between a listing appointment, show for 3 hours, 2 more listing appointments. Tomorrow, show houses, 1 listing appointment. If my day looked like that 5 days a week, now I can bring in a showing agent. And that showing agent is going to make my green boxes shrink up to 30 minutes, because now I'm just writing the contract, right? And when those fill in on my calendar and I start missing green spots again, now I can bring in a buyer's agent with a showing agent, and all those buyer green spots come off and I just fill them in with more listings. Now I'm a listing specialist.
Okay.
Got it?
Got it.
That is the real way to grow your business and let your business pay for itself. Did anybody else have a question? I might have had somebody else trying to pop in there. All right, cool. All right, so on Ignite, what is Spark? I mean, Spark is basically giving you the tools, the hows and the whats to do. And then when we go through the second part of the session, that's really the business tools and stuff. So you guys have an online, you guys should all have the link to the online folder to download the first module, read through it. I mean, it's just reading, right? And it's going to confirm, like when you read it now, if you read it before session, I give it to you like this, you read it again, you're like, oh man, it's all of a sudden, it's just starting to open up. And it is about the 4th or 5th time you hear something that it'll start showing up in your life. And I meant to say that earlier. The first time you read something, it gets you excited. I mean, I hope I get you guys excited in class. If you read the book, you'll be like, okay, this is cool material. I can't wait for Brad's version of this. All I do the second time is get you re-excited. It doesn't mean anything's going to happen. But when you read it the third time, right after class, by the way, I'm telling you what I did in all my training classes to actually get to this point and get these systems in place was read it, class, read it again, and then put it into action. So the fourth time, fifth time is where it starts showing up and showing up in your life. All right. So that's what Ignite is. Oh, we got a little video from Gary here that we're going to run through real quick. Oh, did I miss it? Let me see if I can get back to it.
Hi, I'm Gary Keller. This course will allow you to get off to a fast start you can build on. Because if you repeated the principles every 90 days for a year, believe me, you have an awesome first year. And just as important, you would have built the foundation and momentum for your entire career. It is practical, realistic, and easy to apply. It's about the fundamentals that determine your level of success in the business of real estate. From our research with top agents, we have found that they too started their careers with these fundamentals, and they continue to do them along with their teams to this very day. And it's not hard. It just requires a little focused effort, a few hours every day. Now, there is really just one way to achieve the goal. It's lead generation. Other skills are important, yet without leads to work with, your skills won't mean a thing. Dealing with business never takes precedence over what? Finding business. Never. Research shows that top producing agents make lead generation their number one priority and the one thing they make sure they always get done. You can do this. And when you do, you will get the leads, the relationships, the experiences, the career, and the income that you want and deserve. Go get them, and good luck.
All right, so here's one thing I've learned is that lead generation has become a four-letter word in our industry. If we were all being honest and we're all friends, raise your hand if every time you hear lead generation, you're like, ugh, you get that uneasy feeling in your stomach, right? So the core base that I want to bring in here revolves around the bullseye that we talked about in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book yesterday. METs, but let me put it this way. Haven't METs, if you know the circle, haven't METs go on what type of follow-up plan? Who knows the answer to that? How many times do you stay in touch with them a year? It's 12.
I want to say 12, maybe.
12 touch. Yep, it wasn't a trick question, honestly. 12 touches haven't met, right? Now, what you're doing with the haven't met is you're focusing, you're putting some awesome marketing headline that just grabs my attention, and then it's call to action. So this is like marketing, right? So most people go to the outer ring of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and it's like on page 138 if you have the book in front of you. It might even be good to have that book sitting there. And I don't know if you guys saw mine. I think I still got it sitting around here. It's this was one of the coolest things that somebody told me about at like Mega Camp or something like that. Take it up to Office Depot or whichever one it is now. They cut the binder off and they put this on so it can become a workbook where you can like open it up and you can see sticky notes all over the place. So that bullseye, most people start in this outer ring because they don't want to pester or sell to their friends and family and blah, 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 which that's cool. This is still a part of the business. Don't understand that I'm not telling you not to lead generate and talk to strangers and get marketing people to call you, because there's a whole community of people out there. However, the return on that ring in your business is a 50-to-1. And I'm just helping you guys really, I hope you're hearing things a little different as we go through, because hopefully it's the same stuff you've heard before, but you're hearing a little different. 50-to-1 is 2%. 50 times 2 is 100. So, and it's 50-to-1. So it's 100-to-2. It's 2% conversion rate. Here's something I want you to understand about 50-to-1. This was a study done by 28 agents that Gary interviewed to find their commonalities of people that were doing $1 million in real estate. So they've probably been in business for how long? Think 20 years, 30 years. They are getting 2% conversion rate. If you have gone to any previous lead generation class where you're just calling, haven't met, trying to get appointments, like in Bold, we do that a lot with for sale by owners, expires, all that other stuff. It is less than 1%. If you do any kind of mass marketing to a neighborhood and all that stuff, if you track, you are getting less than probably 0.5% return just marketing to strangers. This part is what I like to layer in, and it's the part I think every single agent misses, and it is your Mets. Now, your Mets, I like to call them connected, because we have a lot of Mets. You have a lot of Mets on Facebook. Most of your Facebook list didn't get accepted on your friends list unless you kind of knew who they were. Some of you may have clicked and added people, but as soon as you figure that out, you delete them and you get them out of there, right? Or they're the fictitious people. But somehow you know them or they know you and you've clicked them. Just because you've met them doesn't mean you're connected to them. Because if you take that list and put them all on, and what do Mets go on? What kind of follow-up plan? How many times? In how many weeks?
33.
8 times in 8 weeks for an 8 by 8. And then it follows up with a what?
36 touch.
36 touch, right? And guys, it's not so much about 33 touch, 36 touch, 42 touch. What we do know is 20 is not enough, 50 is unnecessary. It's somewhere in there, and it's what you do with those connections. Now, so if you just took your high school roster or your Facebook friends list and you just put them all on an 8 by 8 or a 36 touch, and you just started doing that, I found that when I was talking to agents, they're like, well, I'm doing a modified 33 touch. You know, we're just doing 24 touches. And I'm like, wait a minute, where did he say modify it? I mean, this is the model, right? There was no modified. You know why they modified it? Because 33 touch would be spam, right? And I know some of you are relating to this. I don't want to spam everybody, so I'm going to back it off or do this or do that. When eEdge was the database before Command, when eEdge, the switch went down, if you had people in eEdge, they just started going on an 8 by 8 and 33 touch, because we thought that if they're in our database, they must be Mets. And nothing happened. Well, actually, I can't lie. Business went up 26%. It went up 26%. So here's Keller Williams Sales. They switch eEdge on, and thousands of agents have people in the database that go on an 8 by 8, and we went up 26%. Do you know how much it should have gone up? According to MREA, not Brad Korn's opinion, according to MREA, if you are on an 8 by 8 and a 33 touch with a Met, your conversion rate is 12 to 2. 12 to 2. 12 to 2 is 6 or 8 times more than 50 to 1. And we're talking about the same people. I'm spending a little extra time on this because today's class is about the people that we already know, and really we're going to focus on the deals that will get us 100 deals, because you got 100 deals sitting in front of you. And I'll explain that as we go through the process today, right? So 12 to 2 is 6 to 8 times more than 50 to 1. If you're a mathematician, run it, divide them out and see what it is. Here's the thing, guys. If you just make the outer ring Mets or connecteds, and this is why everybody modified it, because they really weren't connected, hadn't talked to past clients for 2 years or 3 years. Somebody bought their house from them 3 years ago. So they're considered a Met, but you don't put them on an 8 by 8 because then it'd be spamming them. They haven't heard from you in 3 years. So you got to reconnect to make them a Met. And so we're just going to go through the list one person at a time. During Ignite, our goal is 10 a day. What if I just told you all I want you to do is you're going to call your Facebook friends list and do this, because this number is going to come back. If you have an iPhone, I know it works like this, but get out your cell phone and go to your contacts. Go to your contacts record, right? And then go down to the very bottom, like click on Z. Mine has a number sign. Click on Z and scroll to the very, very bottom. Now, this is where I want everybody to either put in the chat or just start saying out loud what you have number-wise at the bottom of your screen there in contacts. Somebody give me a couple numbers live too.
510.
What is it?
510.
510. Give me a few more.
407.
How many?
407.
407. Give me two
950.
more. 950.
503.
503. Great. I love this. Every one of you are probably fairly new in real estate. Would you say yes? Because how many of you have been in real estate for a while, and let's say you've been in real estate for 3 to 5 years or longer? How many were in yours? Say a couple of those numbers.
4,997.
Show off.
Yep, your friends list just got maxed out on Facebook. You can only have 5,000 friends, right? So here's the thing, is that when you focus on your inner ring, you guys have enough. If you did 10 people a day, 510, you got 5 weeks, right? Is that right? 10 divided by 51 days worth of calls at 10 a day, 10. Our 407, you got 40 days of calling. Do you realize if you call 40 days, 10 people a day that you already know, you might find a deal. You're going to get an appointment. 950, you got 95 days. That is 3 months of calls to do before you ever even think about talking to a stranger and trying to convert them. Now, once you get your database connected with that's now on a 12-2 return on an 8x8 and 33 touch, you can start enjoying life and have fun lead generating on the outer ring. Too many people are trying to survive on the outer ring, and the odds are against you, and they're not really doing anything with the inner ring. Does that all make sense? So I know I kind of beat that to a horse, but how many of you just got a little bit more excited about what lead generation means, right? We're going to reconnect and lead cultivate. And if you look at the new MREA model, it used to be, capture the lead, convert the lead, close the lead. And then out on the side, you would cultivate what didn't close. You'll see that that's changed. It's capture the lead, cultivate it, get them converted, and then close them. That's the model, and that's the inner ring. So everybody out there in the industry is trying to sell us leads and how they're going to get us 1,000 leads. Guys, 1,000 leads, if they're moving every 10 years, is 100 transactions. I don't know anyone who closes 100 transactions off of that service they bought that they got 1,000 leads from. Not one person. There is probably only 5 people in the entire company that really use the 8x8 and 33 touch with people they know that are getting a 12-2. That's 180,000 agents. And it's because our industry keeps driving us back to getting the next deal, getting the next deal, getting the next deal, getting the next deal. And all these people we already know, 510, if they're moving every 10 years, 51 people on your list are moving in the next 12 months. In the next 12 months, 50 of them. There's 50 transactions right there, and you already know them. 407, you've got 40 people moving in the next 12 months. Divide 40 by 12. You're talking 3 deals a month, 4 deals a month. So the problem is that we'd have to call all 510 every single month to figure out which 6 of them or 7 of them are the ones that are moving this month. Because I said 51 are moving this year, divide by 12, and only 5, 6 or 7 of them, or 5, 4 or 3 of them, I went the wrong way on my math, 4 or 5 of them actually know they're one of the 51 that are moving this year. The other 4 or 5 won't know they're one of the 51 until next month. And another 4 or 5 will know they're part of the 51 the month after that. Add your Facebook friends to this list. And as you add new people that you're coming in contact with that you realize aren't in your 510, and you add them to your database every day, if you just did 5 a day after Ignite, 5 a day, just add 5 new people to your database every day that you connect with. And that's your lead generation goal, is to connect with 5 people. So let me be clear here. I can lead generate and call 20 people today. I'm probably not going to get a hold of 10. 5 probably really just was nice and didn't hang up on me, but they really didn't tell me anything. And it was, I was using the scripts. But 5 people you actually kind of connected with. It's like, oh man, we appreciate you calling. And yeah, no, we're going to wait for retirement. And they're nice. And you connected and they said, the kids, and you found out they have dogs and they love their neighborhood and where they would move to. That, again, your big why when you use some of the bold scripts, like, so if you could move, where would you move to? And you get to, if you connected enough to have that conversation, those people are going in your database and they're going on an 8x8 and a 33 touch, and they will not ask to be removed from your list because you connected. But you force any of the other people on it and they take me off your list, take me off your list, take me off your list. That's why it doesn't work. That's why it's a 12 touch. So I know I kind of beat that one, but I really want you guys to get those numbers. They're real numbers. So nothing else about your business will have as big of an impact on as the number of leads, or we're going to even call it connections that you make today. So as we go through Ignite, Spark is kind of the how and the what, and the elementals help you, give you those business basics like scripts and things to use, and moving towards that daily success. We've got about 15 minutes left. We're doing great. So start with your sphere. This is why I love this session more than anything. And I'll probably spend a little bit more time here. Because the sphere, guys, when we say sphere, I want you to write down your Facebook friends list and your cell phone contacts list. Now, when you get done with those two, go into your calls received and calls sent and keep going. And if you just have a number, write it down if there's no name, because you can then cross-reference the phone number and see if there's a name attached to it. But if you will write, if everybody will go to the store, buy a 50-cent spiral notebook, college notebook. They're all in the stores right now, right? Get a spiral notebook and use just 2 lines of a college, line or whatever. So you can write the address, the phone number, the email for the person. And I know for technology, we're a technology company. But if you if you just go open your Facebook and spend 1 hour doing this, write down every name on your friends list. Because if you leave and come back, it mixes everybody up again. So open your friends list and just start writing down the names on the edge of the page there, right? Get everybody written in the notebook. And then go through your phone and write down the name or the phone number, whatever's in your phone. And then go through your calls out, your calls in. Fill that notebook up with just 1 column of names. Now what we're going to do is go back and make this master list is going to be how we're going to lead generate every day. And it's going to be on purpose lead generation for the inner circle to reconnect with these people. So you're going to take a half an hour every day and just start Googling, Facebooking, see what city they live in. Write this down. Here's a great undercover, I call it the creeper site, because you're going to become a creeper. You guys are information gatherers of human beings. Okay, that's what you are. You're not a real estate agent. The real estate agent will happen automatically. But if you gather phone numbers, addresses, and maybe email, but that's not even a priority. If all you got is email, you're not going to convert a relationship with an email. So I don't even care if you get email. I want phone number and address so I can call them, connect on the phone. How are you doing? And use the script we're going to talk about in a second, Ford, F-O-R-D. I'll explain that in a minute. But use that script model and get information about their kids, their house. How's everything going? How's work? Are they outgrowing their house? Is there a ton of stuff that needs to be fixed in their house? Those are going to be the signals that will start showing up when you're connecting with people. And then you're going to add 5 connections to command, and you're going to write them all a note. And the note's just going to say, it was so great catching up. Glad to hear the kids are doing okay, whatever it might be, or so great catching up. Looking forward to keep in touch. Hang in there. You're strong. You're strong-willed. You're going to get through this. So, and I try not to use the word I, me, or my. It's not about me. I don't put my business card in this note. It's a connection as a human to human in your marketplace. Now the 8x8 will be all branding, and there will be real estate mixed in there with some other stuff. I mean, just look at the MREA book. It shows you kind of a template, but there's other stuff mixed in there. But now the branding starts. And now we've gotten to the brain. We've gotten past that initial, I mean, you guys get it all the time, that initial block. Walking into a store, salesperson walks up, how may I help you? And you just automatically respond with, I'm just looking. Come on. I'm looking at this crew. You guys are not just looking. You don't have time to just look. You got to get back to the office and lead generate. You're going in there to get something specific. So if somebody walked up to you and said, you know, do you think we all look like we're busy, like we're rushing? There's a funny video my daughter just made of me. She's running through the kitchen. This is Brad when he's doing stuff around the house, and she's just flying around. They're all laughing, and I'm like, I'm no respect at home, right? But that's what we're doing. We're going into a mall. We're like booking in there. We're going straight for the ties. If that salesperson walked up and cut you off at the door and said, you look like you're in a hurry, can I help you get out of here a little quicker? How many of you just went, oh my gosh, this is my favorite salesperson ever, right? And if that salesperson happened to be Brad Korn, I'm grabbing a couple shirts and another jacket as we're going back to the ties. I'm not stalling, but when I pull up the tie, I might hold it up to the shirt and say, yeah, that's an awesome tie. And you'll be like, oh, that's an awesome shirt. And then all of a sudden I got you buying the shirt and the tie. So I can do all that stuff. But see, the reason why that worked is because I got past your blocking mechanism to say this person's safe, they're paying attention. So that's all you're doing is paying attention to people. Okay, I'm gonna shut up for a second. Is there anybody that has anything they want to ask or clarity on, or is this all good stuff? Okay, so people that already know us and like us and trust us, 510, 407, 950, 503, and like the 4,997. They're not connected yet. That you don't have to become best friends with 5,000 people. Cause I know some of you are like, dude, it's bad enough just managing my 3 friends I have. Those 3 drive me crazy. No, we just want to connect with them as a human being. And like, if you were walking through the grocery store, hey, what's up? And in fact, so many times you're walking through the store and you're like, oh my gosh, honey, do you remember who that is? We sold their house in like 3 years ago, the little yellow house with the white picket fence. Oh, I don't remember their name. When you connect with somebody and an 8x8 is talking to them 2 more times in 8 weeks, week 4 and week 8, a 33 touch, the system reminds you to call them 4 times a year, every 3 months. When you see them in the store and you've called them for the last year and a half because your system said to, you didn't have to use any real estate scripts or anything. You're just calling, and you're using real estate scripts sometimes when it fits. But when you do that and you're in their database and you've opened up their name 4, 5, 6 times throughout the year, and then you do that for 3 or 4 years, remember, the average person's moving every 10 years. Some of these people, you will see their name and their number and call them and leave them voicemails a lot. Don't get hung up on the details here. Just leave a voicemail. There's nothing that has to happen from the call. They just have to hear your voice, connect it to real estate, and keep you top of mind, right? That's how this works. So that when they think of real estate, you're just praying that you're calling them the day they're thinking of real estate. And the odds of that happening are zilch. It's less than 1%. So when they think of real estate, because you called them for the last year, 2 years, 3 years, and just checked in most of the time, they're going to call you automatically because they know you're a realtor. All the supporting stuff came along. I don't know why we all aren't doing this. I don't know why we get stuck in the ring, the outer ring. The inner ring is a gold mine, absolute gold mine. So those people love you, like you, trust you. They want to help you out. And when you feed the database every single day, you can get off this roller coaster. You know, what people are doing is we do a day of calling, or we do bold and we call a lot and we increase our sales, but then we don't keep doing it after bold. And so our business drops back off, and then bold comes back again and we do it again. So it's just a roller coaster ride of when we're getting the business. The people are moving consistently all the time, every year. 20% of your list is moving every single year, every single year. So people always say, well, what's the script? How do I connect with somebody I haven't talked to in a while? There isn't a script. It's just a model. Ask about their family. Ask about work. Let them do all the talking, right? Ask about what they do for fun. I mean, the dreams thing is kind of like if you really connect with somebody and you've picked up on some things that they're struggling with or they're wanting to do or whatever, you know, you can say, like, especially if it's like, yeah, we got stuff to fix around the house and stuff. Oh, really? What is it? Like, our deck needs to be totally replaced. Oh, well, I've got connections for that. You know, because we built an affiliate list and we're doing the same exact thing to the affiliate list. So we're taking them referrals, which makes us top of mind in their business, and in their database, we get referrals back. but most people don't really build the relationship. They don't do an 8x8. They don't do a 33 touch. They don't pick up the phone. They've got to hear your voice. No email drip plan is going to get you top of mind awareness. It gets you top of mind for that minute if they're thinking about it, and then it's gone. They're deleting you in chunks. So FORD, F-O-R-D, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Guys, the website's going to have all the tools and stuff, and it just brings everything together. You know, Command is the consumer app, so you can see what they're searching for. And then our virtual agent is Command, which is our database, and it's got the core of everything in there. And then the virtual market center also has, you know, all that help online, like the tools that you can get. So that, you know, as we move to the cloud, it's using technology to connect everything together and have it in one quick place where you can go get it. This isn't a class about whether you like Command or not, whether it does this and does that. The way that I will tell you, I'm just going to shortcut it. There's not one database on the planet today, not one that exists in planet Earth that does everything we want it to do. There's not one. And people are spending billions of dollars trying to create something. It doesn't exist. This one is great, but it doesn't do this little thing. This one is great. It doesn't do this little thing. This one is great. It doesn't do this little thing. If you use it every single day and you don't have something else, use Command every day. Feed 5 people in every single day. And if you can't figure out how to get them on a campaign, fine. Keep feeding 5 in every single day. Because this is what I did. I was 6 months in. I had put 600 people in my database because that was my, you know, that 60-day challenge is one of the documents that you can download. If it's add 5 a day is your 60-day challenge, and you're going to add 5 a day no matter what. I did it for 6 months. No plans were running. Okay, this is 20 years ago. No plans were running. But until I was putting in 5 a day every day for 6 months, now my brain is like, okay, Brad, now you're really dumb because now nothing's happening. You got 600 people in there and you're doing nothing with them. All I did was add them, write the note. But my business doubled. My business doubled in 6 months. That next 6 months was $500,000 GCI. So it cost me $500,000, or I'm sorry, not 500,000, 50,000 net. 50,000 net. I made $50,000 more the 6 months after I added 5 people a day for 6 months with no plans running. So obviously I got excited about that and started putting plans in place, and then it went up from there. So now that's 100 sale business, right? So Command's going to integrate everything. We're not going to master any of this in any of these classes. So I just want you to know it's there. And if Command is big and you realize how big the database is, the very first thing to understand is, how do I feed it every day? What's the easiest way for me to get 5 people in every day without fail? And when you master that, then you're going to figure out what else is in there that gets you to the next step and then to the next step. So start with 5 a day. If you guys would all write down the number of people in Command right now. I don't care if it's 0. I don't care if it's 5,000. And you add 5 people a day, every day throughout Ignite. I think we're getting up on our time here, but if you add 5 people, then in 1 month, you should have increased your number in Command by 100. So you can look at the total again, and let's look at the beginning of class, and let's look at the end of class. In fact, everybody, if you really are excited about what I'm talking about, send me your number. Send me how many Facebook friends you have. Send me how many contacts you have in your phone, and send me the number of people you have in Command. That's going to tell me that you really want to get something out of this course. So email me that. It's kornteamkc@gmail.com. Korn with a K, TEAMKC@gmail.com. And I'll make sure you guys all get this, because I'm actually going to give you another link that will guide you through this course and help get this material back out in front of you. Like, we're doing this in an hour, and already your brains are probably swelling a little bit. And we've kept it pretty basic, right? But it's already like, oh my gosh. So the drip plan that I will create for you guys going through this course is going to help you stay plugged into the material, to remind you to read the book one more time, to remind you to make that list from today's class, to all that stuff, right? So send me that stuff. You're going to get a link that when you sign up, you'll be guided through this course, and I'll kind of push everything back out to you, like suggest to do this or suggest to do that. Here's the exercise. Because the exercises, I mean, there's like 2 hours of exercises that we're not doing online, that if I can figure out how to help you do that between now and the next call, and you do the exercise, you're going to get the results like way beyond what Ignite says it will get. All right, let me just make sure we're not covered. So the toolkit has scripts, buyer lead sheets. You don't need any of that right now. What's the one thing that you've gotten from today's call that you're focused on every single day? Somebody tell me, everybody tell me.
Adding to the database.
How many?
5.
5 a day. 5 a day. 5 a day. Yeah, don't worry about this stuff. We'll come back to the toolkit. Don't get caught up in it. Right now, work on your master list so you can get your 5 a day in every single day. And then as we go through these are the different courses. We're obviously going to go through them, so I don't need to tell you what they all are, but we're going to go through all this stuff. Your database as your business is about 3 courses out. I think that's number 4. Oh, this is going to keep going, and everything's going to kind of revolve around this anyway. Once we get through the Spark session, now we'll get into the elements of the business and talk about specifics. But by then, you guys are just learning new ways to add new people in. So once you master the relationship in that inner circle and you're really doing 5 a day and you're connecting, now I can show you how to get FISBOs and how to get people off open houses, because now you're connecting with people better. You're writing the note, you're putting them on an 8x8 versus trying to do this on the outside and try to convince strangers to do business with you. So once you master that, heck yeah, you better move back out into the outer ring, because now you're a master at moving them to the met or the connected, and you're taking that outer ring. If you're marketing to 1,000 people right now, right, you're probably going to get 10 opportunities throughout the year. 100 people are moving, but we're only going to convert 1%. So actually out of 100, we're only going to get 1 or 2 appointments, and out of 1,000, we're going to get 10, right? If I take those same 1,000 at 5 a day, do you realize that starting now, you would have all 1,000 people personally connected with, if you focused on the list and you just took them off the list as you got them on the phone and really connected and could write them a note. If you did 5 a day, it would take you 10 months, 10 months. And you can move the 1,000 from the outer ring at 50 to 1 to the inner ring at 12 to 2. You're on fire. Like, we're not just doubling our business. We're not just tripling our business. You have the opportunity to six-teplet your business, or eight-teplet, or I don't know what it's called. you know, yeah. So all you're doing is the same 1,000 people that you're mass mailing to. Just call 5 a day until you get them on the phone. Call through the list until 5 answer. When they answer, take them off the list. Move them into the 8x8 33 touch. Call 1,000 again. If they don't answer, just keep calling until 5 answer. Take them off the list. That's what you're going to do with your master list. So do this with 10 people a day. I know I'm saying 5 people a day, but if you guys want to get the real true power surge, do 10 a day. I mean, right now, most of you probably have time to do that. So make the most out of Spark by doing that 10 a day. You guys have been sharing ahas throughout this. Does anybody want to share anything else? Because I know we're right at the top of the hour. Anybody want to share any ahas real quick?
Sure.
All right. I know you guys are getting them. Go ahead.
I have more than one. Just one small one that I have. It's small, but it's really going to change everything for me. Is taking the book to Home Depot, because one of the most annoying things sometimes is trying to work around like that part of the book. So that's something I'm doing like immediately.
Yep. Yeah. Just focus on the list of people that already know you. They're on your Facebook friends list and your phone. Absolutely.
Same over here.
Yep, go ahead.
Yes, same over here. I was thinking I needed to spend money on marketing and, just putting exposure of myself to strangers, where when I have a lot of connections, a lot of people that I know, that I can definitely add them on the database and start connecting with them again.
Yeah, and guys, when you look at MREA book, and I know like when we're digital, we lose pages. But in the very front of the book, the very first story in there talks about Gary and the box. And Gary and the box was literally like those 5 people he met, he put on a 3x5 card and stuck it in a box under today's date. and it just had tabs for 30 days or 31 days. Stuck it in there. So he would open up today's tab, pull out the cards that are in there, and he would call those people, and he would just write the updated notes or anything on there. And then he would put that 4 weeks down the line if they were on the 8x8. And if he moved them to the 33 touch, he would pull them out. He's making his call number 2 of the 8x8, which is 8 weeks after. He sees that he's finished that on the card. He's now putting them on a 33 touch. So he puts that card 30 days down the road. And he just pulled the cards out. That's what your database is going to do for you. And it's going to do it a lot faster and a lot more efficient, because it's going to tell you it's time to call versus you having to go to the box and pull it out. That's what a lot of this is. So 10 contacts a day, 10 conversations a day, 10 handwritten notes. Okay. So as I wrap up here, when I'm coaching people on this, I will get their database numbers at the beginning of the month. I'll get their database numbers at the end of the month. Let's just say they went up to 100. They actually added 5 people a day for the whole month. So we went from 100 people in the database to 200. And then I asked, so how many notes did you write? And the answer typically was probably about 15 or 20. And it's like, okay, why wasn't it 100? The note is the magic, guys. If you connect with 10 people a day, you should write 10 notes. And if you're not writing the 10 notes, then did you really connect with them? They probably don't count as your 10 connected. So just keep all that in mind when you're going through your numbers. And that's just what I see come up all the time. Guys, we'll have scripts and stuff. We'll talk about the scripts. I want you to let me know if you really need help with the script or you've tried a script. I'm telling you, forward is it. Feeding your people, adding them to the database, it's going to make all this other stuff so much easier and not like necessary for you to make it. So what you're going to do outside of class, now I know it's like just 2 days away, is the script play for scripts, role play for scripts. You can pull up scripts. If you are working on for sale by owners or expireds, still work on the scripts while you're doing it. That's your outer ring, but I want you to layer in that inner ring, right? Of course, we have to tell you, abide by the do not call list. There's a real play in here for lead generation and calling scripts. It's 1 hour. Do it. I mean, if you haven't ever done it before, that's going to make these calls so much easier. But these are always getting done no matter what, because that's the easy path. And then go in and keep bringing new business in by learning those scripts and getting better at them, because many of you are new into real estate. So you still want those scripts when a for sale by owner does pop up as an opportunity. Because I'll tell you, here's the thing. If you're new, this inner ring is the long-term game. You're not going to see immediate results. Most of you, if you called 100 people on Facebook and you really connected with them, you're going to pick up 1 to 2 deals, or maybe 3. That's almost always automatic, because only 1 or 2 of those 100 people you call are actually moving right now. But because you called 100 and you connected with them and they knew you, you're going to get that 1 or 2 pretty easy. So that will always happen. But the rest of it, they're moving sometime in the future. They're not all moving now. So you do still have to keep some new money coming in. And that's why you practice this stuff. And then this is the critical one. Update your contacts and get them on an 8x8. And to kick off the 8x8, just tell yourself, if I can write them a note, they're on the 8x8. So, and then there's contract practice too. So like I said, this is like a normal course where you're going through and there's work to do. We're just getting through the content on this hour. What I'd like to see is you guys maybe even form some groups to actually do the exercises and crank through. That might even be just sit down and create your master list together. So you're all going through Facebook and you're just holding each other accountable. That's the way I did it in a lot of classes. It's like if anybody else was in the class and I knew I needed to do this one exercise, I'm like, hey, anybody else want to join me in the conference room and we'll do the exercise together? That was the only way I was going to do it, is if they held me accountable by showing up, because I told them to be there. I hate, when you're a coach in your own body, it really, life like happens. You can't escape it. So anyway, that's it, guys. Good stuff for today. All right. So you're going to get a link, click the link, fill in your information, give me all your stuff. It's going to seem weird because it asks you, what are you buying? What are you selling? Just ignore all that. Name, address, phone number, email. You'll go into my system, and then I'm going to create a drip reminder to remind you where we are in the course and what things to get done and what things to keep working on. And you'll have all my contact information so you guys can contact me, call me. We're going to get everybody through this. And we'll get you on that path to 100 sales a year. thank you so much for committing your time. And I apologize for going about 5 minutes over.
Thank you for a great class.
You bet, you guys. I am super excited. Super, super excited.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Anybody have questions? You can stay on and ask me any questions. Or maybe not. We're going away.
I did. I had a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi. So you gave us your email address and said to send the number of Facebook people that we have and the number of contacts. Was there anything else that I missed?
Say it was number of, oh yeah. So the number of people in your database now, because we're going to add 5 a day so we can start tracking that number. The number of people on your Facebook friends list and the number of people in your contacts list on your cell phone.
Okay.
So the Facebook list and the cell phone list, if you add those 2 numbers up and figure out what 20% is, that's how many people that you already know that are moving in the next 12 months. And if you divide that by 12, that's how many of them are moving this month.
Okay.
Yowza, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So the faster you can get them in, you're not going to get them all. You're going to miss some. When you guys start doing this and you start reconnecting with people, I'm telling you, it's going to happen to just about everybody on here within a few days. Oh, so glad you called. Yes, we want you to come see our new house. We just closed on it yesterday. And you're going to be like, oh, you know, it's going to happen. Don't worry about it. You're going to get them in 10 years or 5 years, whenever they move again. You've got them now.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Hey, Brad, I got a quick one about the emails. Don't go crazy about getting emails because, for instance, when I put them in command, I put them on the smart plans, but I don't always have emails.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Who is this nut and what class is he teaching? Here's the thing. You're not going to convert any relationship from an email.
Oh, I know that.
I take pictures and pictures of screenshots of agents that are going to help me make $1 million. Like I can get their program for $30 and I accidentally highlighted it in a chunk of emails and deleted it. They were going to make me a millionaire, right? I have no clue who they are. I don't know what their program is. If they would have called me first and said, hey, Brad, I've got a really cool program. I want to send you this email. It's only $30, but here's the cool thing, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you know, you and I have met at a conference or whatever it might've been. If they would have done that first and then sent the email, I would have opened their email, right? So the all email drip plans, if you have somebody on an 8x8 that does not involve you talking to them, actually, let me put it this way for a little bonus for everybody here. If you have not talked to them in the last 2 to 3 weeks, they have moved back out to the haven't met ring. So that means anybody in your database that you have not physically talked to in at least a few weeks, they have forgotten about you again.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. So the emails, I try to move away from email and get more of the personal touch in there. And another thing too, just at a mastery level, is the more mediums you can mix in that follow-up, they're never getting spammed. Like I have letter, text, email, social media touch, phone call, and, you know, and postcard, whatever. So by the time I do that, they only get 1 email every month and a half. They only get 1 letter in the mail every month and a half. They get a phone call maybe every 3 months because that takes more time. You don't have to call them every month and a half. But then I do a social media touch in between that. So I make 8 personal direct touches that are not automated. I have reminders in the system to do the unautomatic stuff.
Great.
Got it.
Stuff. Thanks.
Yeah, you betcha. It's a game changer. All right, guys. Yeah, go ahead. You're muted.
Hold on. Okay, sorry about that.
Right.
How do you get people's addresses when you're talking to them? Because I find that difficult to do. I don't want to seem like a stalker.
Awesome. And so what we're doing is we're relating that through the mind that we've already been operating from, like asking a total stranger for their address, right? If you're on Facebook and you go to your friends list and you get them in your master list and you got their number and you know it's from Facebook, right? Facebook tells you what city they live in, right? So the conversation is family, occupation, recreation, dreams, right? So family, how's the family doing? It's like occupation, recreation. It's like, now, are you really still living in Arlington? Or I thought, you know, maybe you went to school with them somewhere else in New Jersey or whatever. And it's like, did you move to Arlington? Oh yeah, we moved to Arlington about 5 years ago. It's like, oh yeah, I was wondering if you were still in the area or not. Where are you at in Arlington? Understand, I'm having a conversation with somebody that I'm already into the conversation. So it's not, and see, some people just, the old brain kicks back in and it's like, well, do you mind if I stay in touch with you? Can I get your address? You shouldn't have to do that. If any of you call me, you're not going to say, hey, Brad, do you mind if I keep in touch with you and send you my drip plan? Put me on your drip plan. Make me one of your 5 today, right? So just call and say, you know, how you doing? So you said you live in Kansas City. Where are you at in Kansas City? Oh, I'm over in Lake Winnebago. I love Lake Winnebago, right? Right then, I can just go to Facebook. I can go anywhere and type in Lake Winnebago, and I'm going to see where it is. Now, did I mention fastpeoplesearch.com?
I don't think so.
Yeah, and we'll talk about this when we get into the adding and the databases, your gold mine and all that stuff, but fastpeoplesearch.com. You can either put my phone number in and it will show you every address I've ever lived at and every phone number I've ever had and probably all my emails. If you type in my name and the city I live in, which you can get off of Facebook, it will find any addresses that I have. So it usually shows what is supposed to be the most current one. And so if I'm looking at Facebook, when I'm going through my master list and I'm writing that down, getting the address and the phone number next to their name, so that's now it's call time. Now it's lead generation time. I'm going to go through my list, and anybody I have all the information for, I'm calling them first, right, in my master list. And I'll call them first. And I've got the address written down that I found in Fast People Search. And it's like, oh, so are you over in, Arlington? And they're like, oh, no, we moved from there years ago. Oh, well, where are you today? Oh, we're over in blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, whatever. You just kind of work it into the conversation. And I might even be typing that in, or I'm on Facebook at that point, if I'm at the front of the computer and I can see one of their old addresses is actually their new address because it's the city. Oh, you mean like are you over on the 5th Street, that whatever side of town it is, or however you want to say it. So you're on 5th Street over there? Yeah, that's our house. Oh, cool. Guys, nobody's going to be like, what do you do? Why are you creeping on me? Your friends, you were talking about their family, their occupation, their dreams. You got past the thing so they can process everything. You're not even bugging them about real estate yet. We're just connecting. So here's what stinks. One last thing, and I'll remind everybody of this on next class, is that the reason why most people don't do this for very long, they'll do the 5 a day for probably a week, and then that's over. They fall behind on their notes. That just has to get done the minute the conversation's done, what's fresh in your mind, and make it about them. But the second part of that is those first conversations are usually 20, 30, 40 minutes long, and it's your own fault because you haven't stayed in touch with them. So you will never have another 30, 40-minute conversation with them ever again. In fact, every conversation, they'll actually pick up their phone call more often because you connected, you gave them the time, and you wrote them the note. So now they've got you saved in their phone. They'll actually take your call at week 4 and week 8 more often. And there's not a whole lot to talk about. So it's like, hey, it was just great connecting with you last week. Just want to let you know I was thinking of you again. It's like, oh, you too. I got your note. That was so awesome. It's like, well, great. I just look forward to keeping in touch. I'm still not even talking about real estate yet, but I am, because everything coming out behind that is all real estate. Got it?
Yeah. I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I do not have an 8x8 plan. What, do you recommend? I know you can search command, but are there any that you would recommend to quickly get started?
Well, look at the ones that are in command. And if it is all email, like Jim said, if it's all email, there is a 33 touch and there's an 8x8, and make them different. Delete out half the emails if it's all email and add in something else, like a phone call or a social media touch. And don't do cascading. I don't know if command is cascading, meaning once I do this step, then the next one will roll in. Make it set to where this happens at day 0, this happens at day 7, this happens at day 14. So it's an email that goes out, or maybe just a handwritten note is day 0, right? So that when you hit the start plan on that smart plan, the first thing sitting in there on day 0 is, did you send the note? And it's like, crap, I didn't send the note. I got to do, and you just do the tasks. And then 7 days from now, it will pop up to say, it'll send an email automatically. 7 days later, day 14, it will say, send them something in the mail. So maybe you do an MLS printout of their neighborhood and thought, wonder if you were wondering what your houses are selling for. So this is one-on-one with 5 people or 10 people a day. So there's a little bit of work in some of that stuff. But once we get letters built into it that print to the printer automatically, then I can have some default stuff done there and shorten my process. Command's not there yet, right?
Right.
So, and I don't even know, I know we have custom ability, so you can actually create your own plan and mix those items up. It's just not completely automated yet. And then 4 weeks from now, it'll show up on my calls for the day. And then when the 33 touch is running, so I'm not going to call them for 3 months after. Once I've called them twice in 8 weeks, then it's every 3 months is a phone call. 4 times a year is the goal or the standard that you want to have. So in between that, a month and a half from now, Command will pop up and say, send them a direct message on social media, text, or email. So that just allows me to see how often I'm seeing their name now. And it's just like, if I see them at the store, I can walk up to them and go, yo, Jim, how's it going? You know, whatever it might be, because I'm seeing it all the time rather than just letting it be all automated.
Okay.
So kick things out, try to add new things in, try to create a plan that's mixed mediums and get the phone calls in there and the touches on social media.
Great.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, guys.